Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. Today we are going to add the tabs functionality. So let's add a new component. I will put it under shared. I will call it tabs.jsx and the React functional component again. I will just make it an empty one just so we can import it. It will be located after this paragraph, after this div. I believe this div is not needed, so let's here add a new our new component tabs, import it, save. If you come here and refresh, we can see that we have our tabs. It's loading now. In Tailwind UI, there is a component similar to this one. I think it's under tabs. It's this one. Copy and let's paste it here. Replace everything. It depends on forms. We already have that one imported. Instead of my account, this will be going, this will be interested. I decided to make a third option, which is called interested, then not going. So if we change these and just save, no, this is not, let's close it. Now, yeah, as you can see, we have the going, interested and not going. So the behavior of this component is that the default going is going to be selected by default and it's going to be blue. If they select interested, it will be yellow, and if not going, it's going to be red. We will add few icons here on top for each one. So let's do that first. To add the icons, since href is not needed here, it's not going to be a link, so I remove the href. I will replace it with icon, and here for the first one it will be a check icon, outline, the interested, I think a star icon, outline, and not going, it's going to be stop icon. Okay, so let's save this, and here you notice that there is a behavior for when mobile and a behavior when it's not. So the first one, it's hidden on desktop, so I don't want that. It's basically a select option. I'm not going to do that. I need just the default one that we see basically. So I will remove everything and I will keep just the nav. And before we go, this border is what makes this blue border. This is the one that is here. So if it's current, then it has a border. If it's not, then it's going to be transparent. And by current I mean if this option is true, then it will give us a certain classes, but we don't want this behavior. So we'll clear this span, and above the tab name span I will add icon dot tab dot icon. Let's close this one. As you can see, now we have our icons here. Let's make them look better. So class name, width by 4, height by 4, mx auto to make it center, and stroke current to give it the same color. I think maybe with 5. and let's give it margin bottom by 1. Yeah, that's better now. And we need the default. If going is true, the first one, it's already current, so it should be blue by default. So let's come here to this one. Now, as you can see, this method, this function, it's basically concatenating all the classes that is passed to it. So this is the first one, this is the second one that's joined, then this is the last one that is joined, or no, there is an additional one. So this is the default. So what we want basically is to replace the current one. Instead, for example, of text gray, it will be just, for example, BG gray 900. If we refresh, we can see the behavior, but we want actually not to depend on this one. We need it like, if the tab is current, then bring its own color. So I will say active color, and we are going to add the active color here. So after this one, I will add active color. It's going to be BG blue 500, for example, and text is going to be white, and then hover BG blue let's say 700. I think that's good. So the first one is going to be blue, the second one we will make it yellow, and the last one will make it red. So let's save it. Let's come here, refresh. Now as you can see, if going is already selected, then, or it's the current one, then it will take the blue. But if it was false, and for example not going is true, that one, the third one, will be the red. And I forgot to change here, probably you noticed, this is yellow and this is red. Yeah, so we started to get somewhere now. I didn't notice this, so this, instead of example, it will be tabs, and I'm going to move the const of tabs. Instead of here, it will be here, because I'm going to change this from just a constant into a getter and a setter. So it will be tabs and set tabs is going to be equal to use state. Now it's imported also as well, so it's going to be use state with initial value of the same array. That should give us the same behavior. Nothing has changed, as you can see. Now why we did this? Because we want to set the tabs whenever someone clicks on the item. So when it's selected, the current value should be turned off for the current one, and the next one that is actually selected now, the new value, should be current to true. So let's begin with changing the anchor tag into a div, and div. Then I will keep the key, there is no href, and for the classes I will give it pointer, cursor pointer, so we can, when we hover, now in the current state it's not hovering, so it's not as a cursor pointer, but now it's a cursor pointer. And let's return this to a true and false for not going. And now here on the div I will add an on click. Let's format an on click that will return a callback, and it's going to be a change value, let's say value, and we are going to pass the tab dot name, so we are going to filter by the name. And here we are going to make the function, so it's change value, it's taking I didn't pass the event, so okay, and name, so it's an event and the name, and here I will pass the event as well. And the event, it's basically, so we can event dot prevent default, and on the change value we need to change now, or let's say we want to select the actually, or we want to select the current selected item, we want to capture it. So to capture this one, we're going to add a new const of, let's say selection and set selection. It's going to be a use state as well. Let's say like it's empty by default, and here we are going to say set selection and to the selected one, so it's going to be tabs dot find tab and return tab whenever its name is equal to the name of the current one. And I missed here, okay. So this means that now the selection, this one, it's filled with the actually the selected tab as an object. So if we go back to our components here on the div, we can see here we have the tabs. It has only one state, which is the list of items. Now if we refresh, come again, we see now there is a second state, and when we change, it's now taking the actually one, the new one. So now it's going here, it's interested, here it's not going, so it's changing. Now we have to reflect this. So okay, so we have captured it, but we didn't display it. And to do that, what we need to do is updating the current value. So this current, I mean. So how do we do that? Now, as you can see, we have the selection set. So what we can do is we watch this one. So it's use effect. And let's make sure that it's used above, and this is basically like component mounted, did mount, updated, but we can make it to run for specific item, and for us it's here, it's watching the selection. Whenever the selection changes, we need to update, we need to do something. And here what we are doing is that we are saying that there is a new updated tabs. It's going to be tabs mapped, say tab, and we are here mapping the tabs, so we can return a new updated tab. So let's see it by example. So tab.name, if it's equaling the selection dot name, remember that we have actually changed, there's an extra one, we have changed it already here. So now we know we have a selection, and if the selection is basically matching the current one, then we say that the tab dot current is equal to true, else then tab dot current is equal to false, and we return the tab. So now we have a new collection of updated tabs, and what we can do here is that we can utilize this one. So we already have the set tabs, the setter. We can do one more thing. We can set tabs to the new tabs. So that's updated tabs. So let's refresh. Now it's not doing anything, it's not getting it, but if you select, it's working. Now why on load it's not picking the change? That's because we have specified it to be initially empty. And what we can do in this part, there is a simple answer. We can just grab this one and paste it here. If we do this and come back here, it's going to be done. What I did here is basically I set it to match the first one. Now I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I just remove this and if I make it just as name equal going, and just this one, nothing else, it will still work instead of writing everything. And if I did like this, interested, it's going to be the second one, and now you get the idea. Now if you notice, the default behavior is that we have the selection on the component itself. So whatever is selected, its state is inside the component. So if we refresh again, we can see that the state is interested, and if it's going, it's going to be active to this object, the whole object. What actually we want is to keep the state on the parent level, which is this home page level. And that's because we want, when we submit the form, to pick the current selection of the component, of the tabs component. So to do that, it's going to be very simple. So the set selection, we remove it from here and we just import it as a props. So it's going to be selection and set selection. We're going to have them from the parent component, which is home JSX, and I will add them here at the top. So the use state, I think it's not imported. Now we import it. Okay, and here on the component itself, now we have the selection, it's equal to the selection, and the set selection is going to match also set selection. So if we just save, we should still get the same behavior. But if you notice that on the home we have the state of the currently active one, and on the tabs we don't have that one. We have it as props, but we don't have it as a state. In the next lesson we are going to make a few models and migrations. So we see you there inshallah.